Yo, morning folks. What's happening? We're here with Cutman Dave. It's absolutely a shambles here. We had planned on just doing a normal podcast, but since Dave came in, he's wrapping me hands. So we said we might as well record the man doing what he does best. Jay is currently on the engineer role over here. So I'm going to turn around. It's going to be a normal podcast. We have a camera on our hands and then a camera on Dave behind us. So it's a bit different, but hopefully it turns out well. We're also recording it audio only, so we have you covered in that sense as well. So yeah, enjoy. Right.
Okay.
Let's get to it.
All right.
One hand, yeah.
One hand at a time. Keep the hand out there. Okay.
Right.
So basically what we're doing now today, we're going to give you a reusable hand wrap. Okay.
Right. Which is exactly what I need.
Yeah. So give you extra support on the wrist. Which hand is your problem hand?
Me right, yeah.
Your
Was
right
the one.
hand. So this hand.
Throwing
here.
them haymakers, you know.
Oh yeah. On the big bag.
Yeah.
But yeah, what we do is we have this cohesive bandage first of all, which helps you as a reusable bandage.
Right.
Goes on really loosely with no strength pulled on the bandage whatsoever. Okay. So that's the first layer done there for you.
And that kind of it sticks to the skin nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah. So this adhesives to the bandage as well. So we build up the wrist as forth, which is important. As we build up the wrist, we come into the thumb area and we loop the thumb in. Okay. So again, nothing is putting any strain on any joints. It's not over tightened. It's round around the hand and the wrist accordingly. And again, I'm not giving it loads of that.
Yeah, nice
which
and easy.
Causes the problem
Right.
with circulation and numbness of hands. All right. So then we move up to the knuckles here, and we make a bit of padding. So we just keep going all the way to the top. This is the quickest and the easiest way I found through the years of making a bit of padding.
How long have you been doing it, Dave?
I started back in 2013. Just out of interest, I seen a Cutman's course happening in the Green Isle Hotel
Oh, deadly.
by Joe Clifford, and I attended the course. And then a couple of weeks later, we got talking again, and then I was introduced into hand wrapping for MMA. So if you just close your hands like that.
Like what side you go again?
Just close your fingers.
Yeah.
Okay, so open again. So at that stage in 2013, Joe asked me to come with him up to Belfast to do a show called Clan Wars, MMA show. And I went up and I wrapped 22 hands that day, my first introduction into MMA. From my boxing background, I would be used to wrapping hands, but not anything like them numbers, you know.
Yeah, geez, I'd say that took a while, did it?
Yeah. Well, you were straight into it. You were in the thrown into the deep end, you know.
Yeah.
Fight or swim kind of situation, but
left no choice.
Yeah. And that was great. It was great.
What about your own hands, Dave? Do they get like obviously I'm like how many did you say 24?
Yeah, about 22, I think it was
Right,
at the time.
it's 22 people's hands, so that's obviously very tiring on your hands.
Yeah, it is. Tiring in the sense that since 2013, the product has come on in leaps and bounds, okay? Back in the day when we were wrapping hands, the tape that we used didn't have little edges on it, so it wasn't easy to break or cut.
Right.
So you were ripping it with your thumb all the time, and it was you were actually getting welts in your thumbs and so.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The product itself, the bandage, the tape, has all got better since 10 years. You know, at this stage,
which allows you to do your work a lot better.
Yeah,
obviously.
Makes things a hell of a lot easier. You can still out there, unfortunately, buy products that are not up to standards, you know.
Right, like something similar like what I got.
It does the job, you know.
Well, not fucking good enough, obviously, because...
But again, it's education, because you've never wrapped your hands before, so you don't know what you're doing.
Well,
you know,
I wrapped them, like I said. I done a course through the Beacon of Light down in SPG, and they gave me hand wraps for like that. They were only 3 meters or something like that. They weren't long enough, you know. So I done a little small bit, nothing too much though, but nothing to this standard anyway. I've always wanted to get my hands wrapped properly for a long time, and then obviously I had no reason to get it done, but since I seen you doing the reusable ones, it's a no-brainer, you know.
Yeah, well, basic with the reusable ones, there's a couple of different levels that I make them at. We say 1, the amateur level, 2 would be the professional level. The strength and structure is in them both, but they're I would use different tapes on them. Right. Whereas today I'm using a cohesive bandage with a normal cotton bandage. That would be like more so for your amateur boxer, for your white collar boxer kind of thing, you know. Right. But the professional, I'd use a different tape altogether.
Right.
And be more strength and durability in the bandage itself, because obviously the professional.
Yeah, obvious reasons.
Yeah. But the this one here is adequate for any fighter, and you can feel yourself straight off the mark the difference.
Yeah.
All right. So if you make a fist there, okay. So everything is in there.
Someone's getting dropped. That's all I know.
From the wrist all the way down. Okay.
Do you feel like a fighter, Jay?
Do I?
Yeah. Do you feel like you actually want to go out and spark somebody now?
I'm going round to that garage and I'm going to punch the first fella. That's it. I'm only joking. Look.
Right. So you explain to me how it feels for like getting your hands wrapped for the first time.
Yeah, it's very comfortable. And it's cool for me to see. Obviously, watching movies and watching fighters get it done, you know, not only just because I need it, it's cool just to get done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Yeah. But like I said, I bought a bag recently. It's a very heavy bag, and I sprained my wrist about 2 months ago. And I was in pain for a good while. I couldn't lift that or that, and so I was a cunt. So hopefully now this'll, like, I was throwing silly punches as well. I only got the bag, you know. So
looping haymakers and something.
Yeah. But this already feels quality, like.
Open. Close.
Same again. All right.
Okay. Okay, open again.
Do you enjoy doing it there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to meet fighters. You get to meet coaches. I've travelled from the east coast of the world to the west coast of the world. I've been around. I've stood in rooms with fighters that I wouldn't have known were historic fighters of the decades, you know. Yeah. It's such an honour to meet guys, you know, that all they want to do is get in the ring and win and do their best to win, you know. And you're part of their show. Keep them going all the time. Yeah. Get their hands right, get their head right. Be in the side of the ring with them or the cage, that they know that they can depend on you when it comes time for the fight. You know, it's a big thing. The same with guys when they're in training. So when I do a wrap, they just put that on the hand and they know, you know, the hand has what it needs to go through the training session, to go through the sparring session, and don't worry about, you know, you get guys that putting on bandages with gel pads and doing this way and that way, then putting on tape and doing this tape and that tape. But they're not happy because they don't know what they're doing, really. They're just following what they've seen on YouTube or anywhere else.
Right.
Whereas if you turn around and you do this for somebody and they know each time they put their gloves on and they have a professional wrap done, that they know the strength and protection is there.
They're good to go, yeah.
They just put them on, put a bit of tape over them. Basically what I do is I cut this down the centre like this, okay? So now you can take that on and off as you please when the time comes, and then all they do is then they just get the tape again and they just close that segment, and it's ready to use again. Yeah, that's basically the ins and outs of how to get in and out of your. It's like a glove, you know. It's like a glove, and like everything else, it wears in time.
Of course, yeah.
You know.
How often would you say you'd need to... Obviously, it depends on how much...
It depends on how you... Yeah, again, a pro boxer could be training twice a day, you know. Yeah. He could be doing his... We just say his gym work, his bag work, his pad work, and then he could be sparring in the afternoon, depending on what way the schedule is. Could be a strength and conditioning cut, and then pad work in the evening times. It depends on how much... usage they're going to get on the pad, and like everything else, you'll feel it through time, through experience, and all you can do is then at that stage you get your normal bandage and you wrap that around with it, and it helps its longevity of life, you know.
So tell me, what you're doing here now, let's say if a professional fighter had let's say 3 sessions that day. Yeah. Would you have to do this 3 times, or would you do a reusable one like this for a situation like that?
No, you do a reusable one, you know. Right. And you could have two pairs, you know. Yeah. So one is already dry there and it's ready to go in. So when you're finished with this, you take this off and you just let it dry normally in the room. Yeah. So, and then he'll just come along then and put a second pair on, slip it in, deadly. And wait to go, you know. Ready to rock again. Yeah. So as I said, next time you go to the gym, next time you're hitting the bag, you just get a bit of tape. Yeah. Close them over with the tape. Yeah. Bang. Right. Bring the tape around again. Pull it there, and then once you get in that pulled across, then straight away. Solid, yeah. And the trick then when you finish this, don't just get the tape and just put it down there because you won't find it. Yeah. You just put a little fold on it, so you can find it next time you're doing it. Yeah. Right? So again, if you give that a fist, right, everything is in there. Mm-hmm. All solid again.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
You know, I've been wrapping hands since I was probably 10 years of age. We used to get an old bandage, cut a hole in it, put our thumb in it and wrap it around. And then we had it ripped at the end and we tie a knot in it. And that was the string to tie it at the end. So that was our bandage. That was our bandage we used. And our coach showed us how to bandage again using crisscross methods. And wrapping around the knuckles. Because that gives the strength and protection all down here all the time. So that's the main thing in there.
I have to say, no, that feel like it's mainly the wrist that I feel the difference in. You know, it's nice and hard because obviously before, which I had, give us a pair of them over. So these were the ones I was using. Jay, can the camera see them? Okay, yeah. Right, so these were the ones I was using. They're basically just you literally just gel pads. You just throw your hand in there, wrap that around 2-3 times max is all I got out of it, and obviously then into a glove. But that's how we fucked up my wrist, and you can see like that's shite. That's just like a normal glove, and that's, you know, there's a big difference there. That is rock solid. That's like a cast. You know what I mean? It's like I'm only out of the hospital and I want to punch someone with a bad hand. Jay, you want to say something there, bud?
No, I was just going to say you were showing the glove off to the camera. Just raise it a little bit higher.
All right, sorry. But yeah, so that's the shy. So I'm at the upgrading, and now we're going on to do the next one. So who is the most popular fighter whose hand you've wrapped so far? The biggest celeb, or
like I suppose I've been. We've done a couple. I've done a couple of world title fights. You know.
Yeah.
I've been in Madison Square Gardens. I've stood beside. Keep that open there. All the way.
Sorry,
That's it. Yeah. I stood beside champions, former champions, but to wrap hands, on a personal level, who's the best? You know, it's getting to me, as I said before, meet the fighter, meet the fighters.
Yeah.
Have the banter, have the chats.
Yeah.
Rather than so like a novice championships, a junior championships, amateur, professional, you know. It's just meeting the guys all the time. They're all great.
Yeah.
You know, they're all great. And it's great to stand in a room with these guys that are going to do battle in the next half an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours. You know, I wouldn't say I'd pick one over another, you know.
Yeah.
But I did have great travels with Patrick Hoyland.
Right.
So Patrick Hoyland in his last few fights had a couple of world title fights, and I was delighted to be part of his team, and WBC featherweight titles in the States, and unfortunately didn't come out the winner of them fights, but it was great to travel with him.
Yeah.
Great to see his seriousness, his business etiquette, you know, switching from what would you say, fun family man to serious boxing. You know, it's time to switch off now. Let's do what we have to do, you know. And when you go out there in the light and the sparks of everything, you know, and it's down to you. Nobody else has got to do it for you, you know.
Once the lights come on, that's it. It's a different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, you know, and coming into stadiums, coming into arenas, and you're the main event.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's looking at you. You know, you're in Eddie O'Hearn's back garden. You're in Eddie O'Hearn's arena.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't spend no problem spending money on any show, you know. And you're there. Paddy Hoyland is top of the pops, or whoever the main event is at the particular time, and to put on a show like that and get into an arena where you are the underdog to face Eddie O'Hearn's fighter. You know, it's a feat in itself. The fans alone don't like you. Never mind the guy you go to fight. You know.
Tell me, did you ever see it going there when you went down to the Green Oil to do the course?
No, never thought I'd be stepping into Madison Square Gardens. Never thought I'd be stepping into any arena. Keep the spread that one open. Yeah. Never thought I'd be stepping into any arena whatsoever. I was just curious as to what a cup man's role was in boxing, and I was educated then at that stage. You know, it's
how long was the course? You mind me asking?
The course was just a day course, just an introduction course.
And then you just got obviously your hands dirty, got involved after the course and things.
It started off giving you, as I said, an introduction. So you were introduced into basic first aid. You know.
Yeah.
How to wrap hands. You know, how to look after lacerations, swellings, hematomas, bloody noses. How to basic look after that.
Yeah.
And obviously curiosity.
Yeah.
Brought me there, and with Joe Clifford. Then after that, we went on the road. Back then in 2013, it was mainly MMA events.
Right.
Bellator. Yeah. Well, that was in the latter years, you know.
Yeah.
It was national level.
Right.
So we would have been doing Battle Zone. Back then there was a lot of MMA events.
Yeah,
back in 2000,
more clued into that stuff.
Back in 2013, 14, 15, 16, there was a lot of MMA events all around Ireland. It wasn't until later that MMA events became very scarce here in Ireland, and more travelling up and down into Belfast and that, you know.
Belfast must be like a second home to you at this stage, is it?
Up there, they've done the Odyssey Arena, you know. It's great when you're in them big halls, as I said.
Yeah.
Because the fighters are all they're all hyped up, you know. It's their first time in a big main event, you know, and it's
you tell you were buzzing for them as well, like, do you know what I mean?
They give you like when I do an event up in anywhere, if I'm covering any event, but when I get home at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm the adrenaline is still pumping.
Yeah.
You're still awake. I can't go to sleep. It takes me another hour or two before I actually calm myself down to go back to be able to go to sleep.
Yeah, you're still taking it all in, like.
Yeah, it's just and like when you're sitting at the side of a cage for 20 fights, 15, whatever it may be, the fighters you might know, but you're not really concentrating on the fighter.
Yeah.
Because you're concentrating on the fight and potential swelling or cuts or anything that
you have to be ready, like.
That might happen to him. Yeah. Like coming into the last, we say 30 seconds of a round, your fighter might be okay, you might be uninjured, but in MMA, in boxing, it only takes one dig before something happens. Yeah. So
I never actually looked at it like that. That's very interesting that you say that. Like, obviously we're looking for the entertainment side of it, but you have to be ready for them cuts and bruises, for them gashes. You know, you have to be on your toes and be prepared to.
When we get into the ring or the cage, again, we've only got 1 minute to do our stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you've got to get in there and you gotta sort out the fighter as quickly as possible, so that he could advance on in the fight.
Yeah.
And the referee or the doctor, they might intervene at that particular time, and that slows down your time.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have to know the doctor in the case, and you'd ask him, hold on, doc, you know, give me a couple of minutes, let me walk here, you know, because I'd have stuff maybe stop his cut, and me taking it away would slow down, would hinder the repair of that cut, you know, or swelling of the eye. I've only got 30 seconds, 45 seconds to get that ice in there to slow down that swelling and to try and keep it down for the next round or 2 rounds or 10 rounds, whichever's coming up next. You know, so you have to get the ice on there to do its job, and each second matters. So if the doctor's trying to get a look at a cut or a swelling or anything like that, and he's taking time away from you, you know, you have to say to the doc, just give me the time on it here, doc, for a second, you know.
And that's things as viewers, like, we don't really pay much attention to, you know. Like, what you're just like, I'm going to watch fights completely different now. What do you think yourself, Jay?
Yeah, it's very insightful. Like, I'm a big MMA fan, you know. I've watched it, 15 years now, and I never once kind of paid attention to, like, the cutman's role. Obviously, you see what they're doing, and you just assume, right, you know, they're there to do a job to basically make sure the fighter is safe to get into the next round. But the way Dave's just described it, it's a lot more to it, isn't it? Like we kind of touched on it, didn't we, last night's episode? We were kind of talking about this. They're basically unsung heroes, aren't they? Yeah,
100%. So, another thing that Dave said, which I think we can resonate with, is just meeting the people. Like, obviously, this podcast, Dave, like, we wouldn't have got to meet you otherwise. You know what I mean? And that's probably the best part for me as well. Doing this is getting to form new relationships and getting to hear other people's stories, because, like, before I done this, like, I kind of kept myself to myself, you know, and it's so helpful, and obviously we're learning from this conversation, and we learn
other
from
people's experiences.
Exactly, and we learn from everybody, whether they're a boxing coach or they, like, the guy who put you onto us, Keith, just throws up random videos, you know what I mean? Like, it's mad the conversations that get flowing from absolutely nothing. But that's a big part of what we do, you know. We want to get these stories of the people that kind of, like, you said to yourself, Dave, I don't really have much to share, you know. But that alone, like, I'm really enjoying this already, like.
You shared quite a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, and we're only halfway through, you know. Dave's saying, fuck, I want to go now.
No, but that's the thing, like, he has shared a lot. Like, he sat there giving us some some really good stories already in terms of like travelling the globe. You know what I mean? Madison Square Garden. Like not everybody gets to go to Madison Square Garden. People don't even get to go visit as a fan. You know, you're working there. You know, so it's definitely everybody has a story.
But yeah, Madison Square Garden and they're singing the Irish national anthem.
Yeah.
You know, it's back hair in the back of your neck.
Yeah.
You know, rising out there. You know, there's a good few Irish boxers that have the privilege of saying that they fought in Madison Square Garden. You know, and they'll know and understand these things. You know, and in the future, hopefully, they will spread that knowledge. You know, like most fighters. Once they start in boxing, it's in their blood till the end, you know. And they end up coaching, they end up helping somewhere. That's how I became a cut man.
Yeah.
Because I was in the club end of things and I just went for a bit of knowledge, and now at this stage in my life I'm able to still be giving something to somebody.
Yeah.
But where I'm not able to coach anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't got the time and commitment every evening to be going to a club.
Yeah.
So I can help a fighter. I can help yourself. I can give you the knowledge, you know, that I've gained through my life, you know.
But even at that, Dave, like obviously we're just chatting to you here for a few minutes, but I'm sure like small details like calming the fighter before a fight, just having a conversation with him,
just having a chat.
It's these things that kind of go unnoticed, you know.
Well, like this, you and me having a chat here, we're doing the raps. It'd be a lot quicker during the competition. Yeah. Because I'd have another 22 lads standing behind you or 20 lads standing behind you. In an MMA event, if you're a boxer, it's different. You're solely with the boxer.
Yeah.
You know, you're not with the event. So if I'm hired for an MMA event, I'm there to do everybody inside, outside the cage. So there's 4 cut men.
Right.
So with the 4 cut men, there's 2 at the back. It could be more. There could be 6. But generally it's 4. And you could be wrapping the hands at the back for the first half of the event, and then you're out of the cage the second half event. That kind of thing.
That's
you know?
a long day as well.
Yeah. So you're there from, like, when we're going to Belfast, we leave at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're coming home 12, 13 hours later.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know? And it's, you know, as I said, it's great. It's great to be involved in something like that. Currently at the moment, it's hard. You know, boxing is taking a back seat, or MMA. Like most companies now are finding it very, very hard to keep their competitions going, you know.
Yeah.
There's not a lot happening. As you see, UFC is going because he has his own oil and he has his own money.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he's able to keep that going.
Yeah.
Whereas most Bellator or Battle Zone Cage Warriors is one in from Belfast, and they have closed arena events, you know, and they sell the tickets that way. So there is some small MMA events still going, but nothing like what there was. The same with boxing. There's nothing what there was, you know. Everybody is on a shoestring budget, and they're trying to keep the sport going. Yeah, these guys are trying to keep the sport going.
The fans are the main part of it. When they're not getting the sales, you know, it's tough. And then even with the pay-per-view, you know, people have the fire sticks and all now. They're not really bothering with that stuff, you know. It is a big hindrance on the sport, alright. But that was done, is it?
That's done. That's 2 done there now. Fist again.
Yeah.
So again, everything is in there.
Dave, if you don't mind me asking you, Dave, what's the best bit of advice you've been given going through this whole journey? Or from who, if you remember?
I suppose it would be obviously from Joe. Joe would be giving me advice all through when we were training as a cut man, you know. Yeah. And to be humble in yourself, you know, and to take a back seat, you know. It's not about me being a cut man, you know. It's about the fighter. It's about him. The event, each fight is about him, not about me. Not about me getting in there and fixing his fight or wrapping his hands or doing anything. It's not about me. When it comes to the end of things, we can celebrate and the team won, but it's the fighter. It's all about him. Yeah. Nobody else. That's all.
And I'd say that in itself, like, is, I wouldn't say it's hard to do, but like, just making sure that everything is on the fighter takes something of a man to do as well. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure, like, obviously the viewers don't really see it the way the fighters would, but I'm sure all the fighters are extremely grateful and thankful to what you do, and I'm sure they tell you that all the time.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Has there ever been a moment for you where it's been like, I don't know, like, I'm sure you've watched people kind of grow, do you know what I mean, and go to the next level. Like, has there, you've 3 kids, Dave, I saying, so is it ever like, we were only talking about this on our podcast last night, we get very emotional very easily, so is there ever a moment where you know someone is really chasing their dreams and they get to that level, and like, what's that like, being the guy who wraps their hands
like what
and
you
helps
say,
them?
emotion wise, you have to switch off your emotions, definitely, because like, if I get brought into the fight, you know, I sit quiet in a corner. I don't usher any instructions. You know, I don't get overwhelmed in the heat of the fight. You have to be controlled, and you have to be obviously watching the fight, what's going on. You know, so I can't go into that context of trying to be, oh, don't do that, do this, you know, or if a coach is giving the wrong instruction, you know, or negative instruction, because you hear this kind of things, you know.
See, that's another thing
you just don't get involved, you know. So you just sit there at the side of the cage or the ring, and you do your job, you know.
Yeah, and I can really resonate with that, because I used to manage my son's football team, Cherry Orchard, and a lot of the parents were on the side, you know, shouting. I'm like, look, this is my job, leave it to me. I understand you're only trying to help, you know, but I suppose it's the very same, and I'd imagine it's hard, especially if, obviously, different people read different people different ways, right? So if you know a fighter needs something and you're seeing them getting the opposite, like, that must be extremely tough for you to watch. Like,
well, it is in a sense, when you know how to read a fighter, first of all, you know, and you're reading the fight, you know, and something is not clicking right, you know. The coach is not seeing what should be seen, you know, or should be said, you know.
I'd say it takes a lot for that to.
You just have to bite your tongue sometimes, you know.
It's about being professional.
And you can obviously, depending on your relationship with the coach. Of course, you can depend on the relationship with your coach. I'd often say we just say Stephen. I'd say, Stephen, listen, he needs to move him around more to the left. Your man's catching him on the right hand side. Just a quick 10 second, and that's me backed out of it again, you know. And Stephen mightn't have seen that, or you know, or they say just follow up. Don't be throwing the single. Get them off single punches, you know, just don't interfere, you know, just make a positive contribution rather than anything else, you know, and that's what it's all about, you know, keeping the fighter positive, going through his rounds all the time and trying to keep him on top of the fight. And when he comes back to the corner and he is cut and he's going, oh, what's wrong, it's grand, I'm just in here, I've got to do my job, you know. Sometimes you might be inflicting their sight, sometimes you might be inflicting their breathing through their nose, so you have to tell them, you know, especially with MMA fighters, because you see them in the cage and they're hanging over cages and they're sprawling on the ground, not even sitting on a stool, they're hunkered, you know, where professional boxers, they come back to a stool. It's controlled, so you get in and you do what you need to do and you talk to the fighter talks to the coach outside the ring. When you're in an MMA cage, sometimes your man's exhausted, he's leaning up against the cage, he has his back to you, you know, you have to take control of him. You take him by the shoulder, you take him from the centre of the cage, you bring him around, you turn him, you know, small little things, you take him by the elbow, you take control, you know, you put your hand on his cut straight away, you bring him in, you turn his head, you know, all these things are just what I've been taught. Whereas if your man's hanging over the cage or he's exhausted and you're trying to get under his arms and get in there, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. See,
that's the detail, like, I would have never thought of anything like that. But look, Dave, we'll get you more comfortable now. We'll switch up and change to the desk.
We'll get set for a part 2,
we'll get set for part 2. But as you can see, folks, these are the hands that Dave has wrapped. Feels absolutely amazing. Feels rock solid, and I can't wait to use them. But
gotta go home and bait the bollocks out of your bag now, eh?
Stay tuned for part 2. Right, so you can stop recording on that.